Been lovely chatting with everyone today. I love our conversations. It's so fun. Okay, I'm going to share my screen so we can start reading where we left off last week. Chapter 8, Section 8, The Body as Means or End. Attitudes toward the body are attitudes toward attack. The ego's definitions of anything are childish and are always based on what it believes the thing is for. This is because it is incapable of true generalizations and equates what it sees with the function it ascribes to it. It does not equate it with what it is. To the ego, the body is to attack with, equating you with the body. It teaches that you are to attack with. The body, then, is not the source of its own health. The body's condition lies solely in your interpretation of its function. Functions are part of being since they arise from it, but the relationship is not reciprocal. The whole does define the part, but the part does not define the whole. Yet to know in part is to know entirely because of the fundamental difference between knowledge and perception. In perception, the whole is built up of parts that can separate and reassemble in different constellations. But knowledge never changes, so its constellation is permanent. The idea of part-whole relationships has meaning only at the level of perception, where change is possible. Otherwise, there is no difference between the part and whole. The body exists in a world that seems to contain two voices fighting for its possession. In this perceived constellation, the body is seen as capable of shifting its allegiance from one to the other, making the concepts of both health and sickness meaningful. The ego makes a fundamental confusion between means and end, as it always does. Regarding the body as an end, the ego has no real use for it because it is not an end. You must have noticed an outstanding characteristic of every end that the ego has accepted as its own. When you have achieved it, it has not satisfied you. This is why the ego is forced to shift ceaselessly from one goal to another, so that you will continue to hope it can yet offer you something. It has been particularly difficult to overcome the ego's belief in the body as an end because it is synonymous with the belief in attack as an end. The ego has a profound investment in sickness. If you are sick, how can you object to the ego's firm belief that you are not invulnerable? This is an appealing argument from the ego's point of view because it obscures the obvious attack that underlies the sickness. If you recognized this and also decided against attack, you could not give this false witness to the ego's stand. It is hard to perceive sickness as a false witness, but you do not realize that it is entirely out of keeping with what you want. This witness then appears to be innocent and trustworthy because you have not seriously cross-examined him. If you had, you would not consider sickness such a strong witness on behalf of the ego's views. A more honest statement would be that those who want the ego are predisposed to defend it. Therefore, their choice of witnesses should be suspect from the beginning. The ego does not call upon witnesses who would disagree with its case, nor does the Holy Spirit. I have said that judgment is the function of the Holy Spirit, and one he is perfectly equipped to fulfill. The ego, as a judge, gives anything but an impartial judgment. When the ego calls on a witness, it has already made the witness an ally. It is still true that the body has no function of itself, because it is not an end. The ego, however, establishes it as an end because as such, its true function is obscured. This is the purpose of everything the ego does. Its sole aim is to lose sight of the function of everything. A sick body does not make any sense. It could not make sense because sickness is not what the body is for. Sickness is meaningful only if the two basic premises on which the ego's interpretation of the body rests are true: that the body is for attack and that you are a body. Without these premises, sickness is inconceivable. Sickness is a way of demonstrating that you can be hurt. It is a witness to your frailty, your vulnerability, and your extreme need to depend on external guidance. The ego uses this as its best argument for your need for its guidance. It dictates endless prescriptions for avoiding catastrophic outcomes. The Holy Spirit, perfectly aware of the same situation, does not bother to analyze it at all. If data are meaningless, there's no point in analyzing them. The function of truth is to collect information that is true. Any way you handle error results in nothing. The more complicated the results become, the harder it may be to recognize their nothingness. But it is not necessary to examine all possible outcomes to which premises give rise in order to judge them truly. A learning device is not a teacher. It cannot tell you how to feel. You do not know how you feel because you have accepted the ego's confusion, and you therefore believe that a learning device can tell you how to feel. Sickness is merely another example of your insistence on asking guidance of a teacher who does not know the answer. The ego is incapable of knowing how you feel. When I said that the ego does not know anything, I said the one thing about the ego that is wholly true. But there is a corollary. If only knowledge has being and the ego has no knowledge, then the ego has no being. You might well ask how the voice of something that does not exist can be so insistent. Have you thought about the distorting power of something you want, even if it's not real? There are many instances of how what you want distorts perception. No one can doubt the ego's skill in building up false cases, nor can anyone doubt your willingness to listen until you choose not to accept anything except truth. When you lay the ego aside, it will be gone. The Holy Spirit's voice is as loud as your willingness to listen. It cannot be louder without violating your freedom of choice, which the Holy Spirit seeks to restore, never to undermine. The Holy Spirit teaches you to use your body only to reach your brothers, so He can teach His message through you. This will heal them and therefore heal you. Everything used in accordance with its function, as the Holy Spirit sees it, cannot be sick. Everything used otherwise is. Do not allow the body to be a mirror of a split mind. Do not let it be an image of your own perception of littleness. Do not let it reflect your decision to attack. Health is seen as the natural state of everything when interpretation is left to the Holy Spirit, who perceives no attack on anything. Health is the result of relinquishing all attempts to use the body lovelessly. Health is the beginning of the proper perspective on life under the guidance of the one teacher who knows what life is, being the voice for life itself. Welcome, Cynthia. Welcome, Ernesto. I feel like we could have gotten all of what we needed to learn about that section in the last paragraph.
Agreed.
But it was, it really definitely takes your mind down that path of what am I using the body for? Oh, am I not using it as a means of communication? Oh, is that why I feel sick sometimes? Because I'm judging? Oh.
Mm.
Oh, and Cynthia has her puppy too. We've been talking to all the puppies today and the kitties. My cat's gone now.
I was thinking today because I've had this headache and so it's like, okay, I know it's an illusion, but do I just take the medicine? What medicine do I take? And then, like turn it over to Holy Spirit. I don't have to worry about what to do or what to say or where to go. And so here I am now, instead of driving to the store, I gotta try this other medicine. Nothing's working. Um, and I may go later. No judgment on myself. The ego that's not real that thinks it can get sick and die. So that's kind of how my mind works around sickness and health.
Yeah. I feel like too, once you are sick, you've already aligned with fear. So until you get out of that place, you're not going to be able to help yourself. So how do you get out of that place of fear? Take the medicine, right? Feel better. And then you're like, oh, okay, now I can align with love because I don't feel crappy anymore.
Right, right.
I distract myself. If I'm doing something real intense, like painting or doing something like that, I don't think about being sick, and so it goes away. And when I stop painting, I was like, "Oh, I feel better now."
Yeah, that's great
Right.
too. Go
That
into that
was,
gap.
I would never not go to work. I would go to work sick. I'd cover my mouth and I'd wear a mask, but if I get really into working, then by the end of the shift, I'm not sick anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah,
laid at home in bed, I'd stay sick for days.
right.
Yeah. That's been also my experience.
Trying to wrap my mind around this because I've been living with chronic illness for decades. So what does that mean? Like
But
why?
yeah, it definitely doesn't mean to shame yourself or guilt yourself, right? It's information.
Yeah, but why am I sick?
I think too, part of what we just read is when you try to ask why, it also puts you in that ego place, right? It says you don't need to know the reason why.
Mm,
All you need to do is keep choosing love over and over and over again, right? Because I think sometimes we go down that rabbit hole of, but why did this happen? And why did this happen? And why is this happening? And then all of a sudden we can't even focus on the present moment.
Isn't there a Shakespeare quote? Yours is not the reason why. Yours is just to do or die, do and die, or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. Mine is not to ask the reason why, right? Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
something like that. Yeah.
When
Yeah. No.
I when I ask the question, the answer that's been coming back to me over and over to any question is it all started with that tiny mad idea when God's son forgot to laugh. And so we think we separated. And so it's kind of like just the bottom line for all of us, why we're here, why it all happens. You know,
Hmm.
we
Yeah.
forget who we are and we're just here to remember, and everything that happens can help us, like an opportunity for forgiveness for what never happened. It doesn't need to be forgiven, and just, but not dig into any stories of why.
Yeah.
That's
It
the only
paragraph
story that I think about.
paragraph 6 says exactly that. It says the ego uses this as its best argument for your need for its guidance. It dictates endless prescriptions for avoiding catastrophic outcomes. The Holy Spirit, perfectly aware of the same situation, does not bother to analyze it at all. If data are meaningless, there is no point in analyzing them. The function of truth is to collect information that is true. Any way you handle error results in nothing. The more complicated the results become, the harder it may be to recognize their nothingness. But it is not necessary to examine all possible outcomes to which premises give rise in order to judge them truly.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a fine line too. Because I take meds and sometimes I forget to take it, and I feel just as good as anything. And sometimes I feel maybe I should stop taking this stuff. Do I really need it? I don't know. I have no, and yeah, really, it's difficult to say, okay, I got to ignore it all. No, not ignore it, but what is it, right? How do we heal ourselves? Because even Don Miguel, as spiritual as Don Miguel is, he has a new heart. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. And I read in a book somewhere where he was having, I guess he was having mild heart attacks,
Hmm.
and before he had the one the one that put him in the weak heart, he I can forget what book it was, but there was somebody wrote a piece on it how he was actually healing himself at that time, but then he suffered an attack, and it weakened his heart even more so because they didn't he wasn't taken care of properly, and all he needed was a stent at the time.
Mm.
But because they waited so long to finally be able to analyze him, because I guess it happened to him in an area where they didn't know who he was,
Hmm.
so he
Interesting.
has a new heart.
Hmm.
Yeah.
This
Wow.
has been going on for years,
Well,
and
same thing with Wayne Dyer. I
Yeah.
mean, Wayne Dyer believed this, but he still died of cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the John of God cured him once, and it came back.
Mm.
And with Oprah, the whole thing with Oprah, and then now they found out that he's such a fraud, but it was the spirit, it wasn't him.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I just accepted a position back at Omega, so I'll be back at Omega this next season.
So we
Ooh,
can come and visit you anytime there's something cool up there we want to look at and
Yep.
yeah,
hang out. We'll hang
There's
out with
all
you.
there's all kinds of cool stuff happening.
yeah,
But
there
yeah,
always is.
please do.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
Sounds like fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
they
All
still put
right.
out. Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
think they still put out that magazine or that pamphlet with all the summer events in it.
Yeah, all you got to do is request it. They don't fold over the request. You have to request it every year. They don't send it to you. But yeah, it's all online too. But it's not even out yet. It's the magazine for this year isn't out yet. There's a bunch of stuff online that they've already lined up, but they're still building the magazine. But yeah.
Nice. Nice. Exciting. All right. Shall we keep going? All right. On to the next and final section of chapter 8. This is kind of a long one. The last one was kind of long too. Okay. Here we go. Healing as corrected perception. I said before that the Holy Spirit is the answer. He is the answer to everything because he knows what the answer to everything is. The ego does not know what a real question is, although it asks an endless number. Yet you can learn this as you learn to question the value of the ego and thus establish your ability to evaluate its questions. When the ego tempts you to sickness, do not ask the Holy Spirit to heal the body, for this would merely be to accept the ego's belief that the body is the proper aim of healing. Ask rather that the Holy Spirit teach you the right perception of the body, for perception alone can be distorted. Only perception can be sick, because only perception can be wrong. Wrong perception is the wish that things be as they are not. The reality of everything is totally harmless, because total harmlessness is the condition of its reality. It is also the condition of your awareness of its reality. You do not have to seek reality. It will seek you and find you when you meet its conditions. Its conditions are part of what it is, and this part only is up to you. The rest is of itself. You need do so little because your little part is so powerful that it will bring the whole to you. Accept then your little part and let the whole be yours. Wholeness heals because it is of the mind. All forms of sickness, even unto death, are physical expressions of the fear of awakening. They're attempts to reinforce sleeping out of fear of waking. This is a pathetic way of trying not to see, by rendering the faculties for seeing ineffectual. Rest in peace is a blessing for the living, not the dead, because rest comes from waking, not from sleeping. Sleep is withdrawing. Waking is joining. Dreams are illusions of joining because they reflect the ego's distorted notions about what joining is. Yet the Holy Spirit, too, has use for sleep and can use dreams on behalf of waking if you will let him. How you wake is the sign of how you have used sleep. To whom did you give it? Under which teacher did you place it? Whenever you wake dispiritedly, it was not given to the Holy Spirit. Only when you awaken joyously have you utilized sleep according to his purpose. You can indeed be drugged by sleep if you have misused it on behalf of sickness. Sleep is no more a form of death than death is a form of unconsciousness. Complete unconsciousness is impossible. You can rest in peace only because you are awake. Healing is released from fear of waking and the substitution of the decision to wake. The decision to wake is the reflection of the will to love, since all healing involves replacing fear with love. The Holy Spirit cannot distinguish among degrees of error, for if he taught that one form of sickness is more serious than another, he would be teaching that one error can be more real than another. His function is to distinguish only between the false and the true, replacing the false with the true. The ego, which always wants to weaken the mind, tries to separate it from the body in an attempt to destroy it. Yet the ego actually believes that it is protecting it. This is because the ego believes that mind is dangerous and that to make mindless is to heal. But to make mindless is impossible, since it would mean to make nothing out of what God created. The ego despises weakness, even though it makes every effort to induce it. The ego wants only what it hates. To the ego, this is perfectly sensible. Believing in the power of attack, the ego wants attack. The Bible enjoins you to be perfect, to heal all errors, to take no thought of the body as separate, and to accomplish all things in my name. This is not my name alone, for ours is a shared identification. The name of God's Son is one, and you are enjoined to do the works of love because we share this oneness. Our minds are whole because they are one. If you are sick, you are withdrawing from me. Yet you cannot withdraw from me alone. You can only withdraw from yourself and me. You have surely begun to realize that this is a very practical course, and one that means exactly what it says. I would not ask you to do things you cannot do, and it is impossible that I could do things you cannot do. Given this, and given this quite literally, nothing can prevent you from doing exactly what I ask, and everything argues for your doing it. I give you no limits because God lays none upon you. When you limit yourself, we are not of one mind, and that is sickness. Yet sickness is not of the body, but of the mind. All forms of sickness are signs that the mind is split and does not accept a unified purpose. The unification of purpose, then, is the Holy Spirit's only way of healing. This is because it is the only level at which healing means anything. The re-establishing of meaning in a chaotic thought system is the way to heal it. Your task is only to meet the conditions for meaning since meaning itself is of God. Yet your return to meaning is essential to His, because your meaning is part of His. Your healing, then, is part of His health, since it is part of His wholeness. He cannot lose this, but you can not know it. Yet it is still His will for you, and His will must stand forever and in all things.
Yeah. So how do you stay in that love vibe the whole time? Right? That is the question.
That is the question, to be or not to be.
Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outraged fortune.
Ah, look at that.
To
Shakespeare
die
kind
to sleep, no more. And by a dream, we end the 1,000 natural nightmares that are ear to us.
Wow, look at you.
I found my Shakespearean book. I have a book that I don't know where I can. I think I bought it a long time ago, and the print is really small, but it has all his plays.
That's amazing.
And I've been looking at all the stuff that I had studied in the past in school, and looking over and say, wow, man, did I misquote him here and there? Because it's the same idea, but it's different wording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just recently read
Interesting.
that one.
I have a
It's
Shakespeare
fun.
Guide to Insults book. Pretty funny.
I share a birthday with Shakespeare.
Cool.
Huh.
Oh, yeah. So that is the question, right? To just align with love
So
always.
always right to stay in that vibe. Yeah, to stay in that vibe.
Hmm.
How do we grasp that? Right. I mean, that's
And
the that's the
and
key,
and
right?
our body tells us, right? When we're not experiencing joy, something's gone wrong. Stop and align with love over and over and
Mm-hmm.
over again with our 60,000 thoughts a day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
of.
yeah. So what's the day of the birthday that you share with him, with Shakespeare?
April 23rd.
Oh, on the cusp.
Yeah.
It's a cusp. You're a cusp child.
Yes.
Cusp of Aries and Taurus, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting, right?
If he even wrote the plays, because I know that there's some controversy over that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
Yep.
maybe he channeled it.
Well, so I think that so all writing has to be channeled. That's what I've always believed.
Hmm.
Okay, because how else will all that stuff come to your head? Is it
That's
coming
true.
from you? Or is it coming from through us?
Dipping into that collective consciousness that we all share.
This section talks about sleep. And I've noticed lately I've been waking up from dreams where I'm working out my stuff in my dreams. But I can wake up and then quickly, oh, I know where that was coming from, and let it go. So it's same with a waking dream.
Right.
Um, just try to catch ourselves, not feel guilty for that, just not identify with it.
I love the question too that it says when you go to sleep at night, who are you putting in charge of your mind? Right? So every night when I go to sleep, I put my hand on my head and I say, I give my mind to the Holy Spirit so I can rest in peace every single night.
I do that too, um, and often by listening to a yoga nidra, which is
Mm,
basically moving into that consciousness.
yeah, beautiful. I love that. And then when I wake up in the morning, I give my mind to the Holy Spirit so I can walk in peace. That way I'm consciously taking that first step to align.
Yeah, that right, that whole love thing. It's also sometimes it's misused, I guess, but I think that everyone is driving towards it, especially in lieu of the things that have been happening, like the Super Bowl show, and how love has been used in that as well. And then the antithesis to that, Kid Rock, I think he also used a quote from Kobe Bryant about love. I can't remember the quote exactly, but it's something about love triumphs over hate or something like that. I can't remember the exact quote. So it is melding into societal stuff, and the big platform of the Super Bowl, as
Hmm.
challenging as that was or is to whatever is mixing into the mix, the message is still being brought forth,
It is.
as convoluted as it is.
They they said
Yes.
yesterday that a third of the population of the world saw the Super Bowl yesterday.
Wow. Really?
Wow.
But that's every year. Every year it's that big.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
But and a lot of those people would watch it, but they don't have televisions.
That's
A
true
lot of
too.
Yeah, and I don't
So
get
what
it.
do they have like a radio broadcast of it?
I'm sure. I'm sure they do.
Okay.
I'm
So
I'm not
so they may
sure,
be
but
listening. So you could
yeah,
listen then to it.
yeah. But
So that,
what was your opinion of the halftime show?
my opinion?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I read an article because I saw a lot of articles, and I read one article that really I think put the accent on it, and it's the name of the writer is Michelle Ruiz, Ruiz, just like Don Miguel's last name,
Mhm.
and she talked about it in such a eloquent uh, way of expressing, that because if I'm familiar with Bad Bunny, and some of his earlier lyrics were really just real. It was like gangster rap, let's say,
Mhm.
or really out there, you know, cursing. But the situation is that everything that he did was clean, clean. I mean, I think there was a couple of fucks and all that in there. Excuse me, if I offend anybody with that word, but it was more a message of love, really. And the way she wrote it, she even said it. She said that it was done in such a way that he cannot be criticized one way or the other, because he was really kind of a neutral message of love, except saying, I'm an American too. We're all, this is the Americas. I mean,
Mhm.
in other words, like, why are we using that word to separate us instead of uniting us? That kind of, and it was more the show that he did, the way that he presented the whole Puerto Rican culture, the set. I was able to go back and catch not just the viewing that we had on television, but a more what is it called, more wider spectrum of what the people were seeing, and they were seeing what was on the screen. There was a whole lot going on. A real wedding took place, by the way. I don't know if
Oh,
Oh,
you
did
know.
it?
a
Yes,
wonder.
that was a real wedding that went down. That was a
Yeah.
true
Oh,
wedding.
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Oh, you have to read some of the stuff that the people now are coming out, because I was in a group that was saying, "Oh, that's not a wedding. That was part of the show," and I was like, "Okay, maybe." Then as I was reading on it this morning, in that article by Michelle Ruiz, just she exposed the whole thing in such a beautiful, eloquent, and
Nice.
just the message of love was there throughout what she was saying.
Hmm. Beautiful.
I've been
Beautiful.
sending it to all the people that I've known I'm so excited because there's so much stuff written about it, and I'm trying to pick out some of the ones that are really true in nature, what they coming from the heart. And it's in my phone. I wish that I could kind of send it through the through Zoom, but my phone, I'm limited with my phone. Anyway, Michelle Reese, and it's on YouTube. Is it on
Okay, good
YouTube?
to
No,
know.
it's on. I, if I go off the air, I'll come back, but I gotta look it up
Okay, you can look it up
so I
and
can
share
give
it
you
in the
the.
chat.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, and right. Just
All right.
continue with the thing.
Should I continue with the thing?
Thing.
Okay,
With
let's
that
continue.
teaching
Chapter
thing.
9, the acceptance of that
Right.
one man. And oh, by the way, I just got news that our grandson was born. So,
Oh, congratulations.
Oh,
Wow.
congratulations.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Jeff just came home and said, "Yeah, he was just born." So, Rhodes, Manders. Yeah, yeah, Rhodes
Those
Manders.
makers.
So, okay, let's go ahead and share and get into the acceptance of reality, chapter 9. Fear of the will of God is one of the strangest beliefs the human mind has ever made. It could not possibly have occurred unless the mind were already profoundly split, making it possible for it to be afraid of what it really is. Reality cannot threaten anything except illusions, since reality can only uphold truth. The very fact that the will of God, which is what you are, is perceived as fearful demonstrates that you are afraid of what you are. It is not, then, the will of God of which you are afraid, but yours. Your will is not the ego's, and that is why the ego is against you. What seems to be the fear of God is really the fear of your own reality. It is impossible to learn anything consistently in a state of panic. If the purpose of this course is to help you remember what you are, and if you believe that what you are is fearful, then it must follow that you will not learn this course. Yet the reason for the course is that you do not know what you are. If you do not know what your reality is, why would you be so sure that it is fearful? The association of truth and fear, which would be highly artificial at most, is particularly inappropriate in the minds of those who do not know what truth is. All this could mean is that you are arbitrarily associating something beyond your awareness with something you do not want. It is evident then that you are judging something of which you are totally unaware. You have set up this strange situation so that it is impossible to escape from it without a guide who does know what your reality is. The purpose of this guide is merely to remind you of what you want. He's not attempting to force an alien will upon you. He's merely making every possible effort within the limits you impose on him to reestablish your own will in your awareness. You have imprisoned your will beyond your own awareness, where it remains, but cannot help you. When I said that the Holy Spirit's function is to sort out the true from the false in your mind, I meant that He has the power to look into what you have hidden and recognize the will of God there. His recognition of this will can make it real to you because He is in your mind, and therefore He is your reality. If then His perception of your mind brings its reality to you, He is helping you to remember what you are. The only source of fear in this process is what you think you will lose. Yet it is only what the Holy Spirit sees that you can possibly have. I have emphasized many times that the Holy Spirit will never call upon you to sacrifice anything. But if you ask the sacrifice of reality of yourself, The Holy Spirit must remind you that this is not God's will because it is not yours. There is no difference between your will and God's. If you did not have a split mind, you would recognize that willing is salvation because it is communication. It is impossible to communicate in alien tongues. You and your Creator can communicate through creation because that, and only that, is your joint will. A divided mind cannot communicate because it speaks for different things to the same mind. This loses the ability to communicate simply because confused communication does not mean anything. A message cannot be communicated unless it makes sense. How sensible can your messages be when you ask for what you do not want? Yet, as long as you are afraid of your will, that is precisely what you are asking for. You may insist that the Holy Spirit does not answer you, but it might be wiser to consider the kind of questioner you are. You do not ask only for what you want. This is because you are afraid you might receive it, and you would. That is why you persist in asking the teacher who could not possibly give you what you want. Of him, you can never learn what it is, and this gives you the illusion of safety. Yet you cannot be safe from truth, only in truth. Reality is the only safety. Your will is your salvation because it is the same as God's. The separation is nothing more than the belief that it is different. No right mind can believe that its will is stronger than God's. If then a mind believes that its will is different from his, it can only decide either that there is no God or that God's will is fearful. The former accounts for the atheist, and the latter for the martyr who believes that God demands sacrifices. Either of these insane decisions will induce panic because the atheist believes he is alone and the martyr believes that God is crucifying him. Yet no one really wants either abandonment or retaliation, even though many may seek both. Can you ask the Holy Spirit for gifts such as these and actually expect to receive them? He cannot give you something you do not want. When you ask the universal giver for what you do not want, you are asking for what cannot be given because it was never created. It was never created because it was never your will for you. Ultimately, everyone must remember the will of God because ultimately everyone must recognize himself. This recognition is the recognition that his will and God's are one. In the presence of truth, there are no unbelievers and no sacrifices. In the sanctuary of reality, fear is totally meaningless. To deny what is can only seem to be fearful. Fear cannot be real without a cause. And God is the only cause. God is love, and you do want him. This is your will. Ask for this, and you will be answered, because you will be asking only for what belongs to you. When you ask the Holy Spirit for what would hurt you, he cannot answer because nothing can hurt you. And so you are asking for nothing. Any wish that stems from the ego is a wish for nothing. And to ask for it is not a request. It is merely a denial in the form of a request. The Holy Spirit is not concerned with form, being aware only of meaning. The ego cannot ask the Holy Spirit for anything because there is complete communication failure between them. Yet you can ask for everything of the Holy Spirit because your requests to him are real, being of your right mind. Would the Holy Spirit deny the will of God? And could he fail to recognize it in his Son? You do not recognize the enormous waste of energy you expend in denying truth. What would you say of someone who persists in attempting the impossible, believing that to achieve it is to succeed. The belief that you must have the impossible in order to be happy is totally at variance with the principle of creation. God could not will that happiness depended on what you could never have. The fact that God is love does not require belief, but it does require acceptance. It is indeed possible for you to deny facts, although it is impossible for you to change them. If you hold your hands over your eyes, you will not see because you are interfering with the laws of seeing. If you deny love, you will not know it because your cooperation is the law of its being. You cannot change laws you did not make, and the laws of happiness were created for you, not by you. Any attempt to deny what is must be fearful, and if the attempt is strong, it will induce panic. Willing against reality, though impossible, can be made into a very persistent goal, even though you do not want it. But consider the result of this strange decision. You are devoting your mind to what you do not want. How real can this devotion be? If you do not want it, it was never created. If it were never created, it is nothing. Can you really devote yourself to nothing? God, in his devotion to you, created you devoted to everything and gave you what you are devoted to. Otherwise, you would not have been created perfect. Reality is everything, and you have everything because you are real. You cannot make the unreal because the absence of reality is fearful, and fear cannot be created. As long as you believe that fear is possible, you will not create. Opposing orders of reality make reality meaningless, and reality is meaning. Remember then that God's will is already possible, and nothing else will ever be. This is the simple acceptance of reality, because only that is real. You cannot distort reality and know what it is. And if you do distort reality, you will experience anxiety, depression, and ultimately panic, because you're trying to make yourself unreal. When you feel these things, do not try to look beyond yourself for truth can only be within you. Say, therefore, Christ is in me, and where he is, God must be, for Christ is part of him. That was a long one. That goes back to nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists, right? The acceptance of reality. I love that part that says, you're really just afraid of who you are, right? That's the reason why we don't accept the at-one-ment, because we're like, oh, if I accept the at-one-ment, then I'll have to give up all of this, my identity, who I think I am, the life I'm living. But that's all fear. That's all the ego trying to scare us, because we already know that we're not asked to sacrifice anything, right? But the ego keeps trying to make us afraid of accepting the at-one-ment, telling us that it's fearful, telling us it's going to take away all the things that we've worked our whole life for, telling us that, everything we've done up to this point in our life is going to be gone. If we accept the at-one-ment, God's going to snatch it away. And that's the lie that we keep believing that keeps us from accepting the at-one-ment. Because we're afraid of the grandeur of God within us. We don't know what that feels like because we haven't accepted it for ourselves, right? What could that possibly feel like when people say, you are God? right? Or when the Course tells us God is within us, right? For many people, it invokes fear. Like, what does that mean? What am I going to be responsible for if I accept the at-one-ment? What do I have to do with my life? Do I have to give up all my work? Will I be living on the street? Will I be holding those signs that say God is coming and sitting on a box? You know, that's what happens. The ego puts all those images in our brain. You're going to be that crazy person walking down the street.
Already there.
We're all thinking it, we're just not doing it yet. Oh,
Hmm.
so what did this bring up for you guys? Anybody have any thoughts?
Well, I wasn't afraid of being on a corner with a sign, but I think the fear does come up that I will be asked to do something that will put me out of my comfort zone,
Mm,
and I'm comfy and I don't want to do anything else. Maybe it's that fear that gets in the way for me. I don't know what that would look like at all. I didn't even go that far.
right.
Um, but I know that's impossible. You know, I have everything that I need. I wouldn't be asked to do something beyond my capabilities. And I know I need do nothing. So I don't really have to worry about it at all.
Right.
I'll just let things unfold and have trust
Yeah.
that I'm probably doing exactly what I need to be doing.
And
And
you do
imagine
nothing.
having that feeling of just absolute love within you at all times. I've gotten glimpses of that and it feels amazing,
Yeah.
right? It feels so good. I've described it as glimmering. I feel like there's glitter coming out of me and just it's just such a beautiful feeling. Like you've got this unlimited wellspring of joy that just flows out of you like a fountain of energy, right? And it's not intense and it's not loud. It's just beautiful, right? Thank you, Ernesto, for sharing that. If anybody wants to go to the chat, Ernesto has shared Bad Bunny Super Bowl 2026 with a joyful act of resilience and resistance. Vanity Fair, Apple News. That doesn't look like a link, though. Was that meant to be a link?
No, I couldn't send the link.
Okay.
I couldn't. But if you put this to Google, it'll come
Uh,
up. You know what I'm saying?
yep.
That's how, to research it.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
by I forgot to put the author's name. But if you do this, I'm sure that it will come up because that's the title of the
Yep. Yep.
of,
I see
of
it.
of the story, and it's a wonderful story, and it was very well
Yeah.
written. This person is very eloquent
Michelle
in what.
Ruiz. Yeah, I've got it right here. I'll share it. I will share it in our little chat. There we go. All right,
Yeah,
there
it's
is
a great
our
message, I believe. I mean, I've been just reveling in it the whole morning and part of it.
nice.
Yeah, because it was written in a very not just professional, but in a very it's from the heart.
Yep. I will definitely read it.
Yeah.
So how about anybody else? Anybody else get any feelings of anxiety about accepting the at-one-ment or feelings of joy or feelings of anything or thoughts about anything?
I don't have feelings of anxiety really, and if I did, it would be how how do I how do I get back there? Because I've also had the glimmers
Mm-hmm.
during yoga
Mm-hmm.
and meditation, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I've felt it, I've experienced it. Um, so for me, it's more confusion on how to, like, I don't understand. And I did see a video on YouTube yesterday, and I forget the woman who was talking, but um, she was a spiritual leader and taught
Mm.
meditation, uh, facilitated meditation to help people go deeper. And she said that she had um, done the Course in Miracles, taught a Course in Miracles, and read it a million times and couldn't figure it out. And it was just by letting go. The one phrase that they said that made any sense to me was to uh, go back. Oh, now I've forgotten it. Um, but the main focus was to go back to your consciousness, be the consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and the awareness, and that is what will get you there. If you practice being the consciousness and looking at your life
The
as a
observer.
movie,
Mm-hmm.
and you keep doing it over and over and over, eventually you get to that point of separation where you can be the consciousness
Mm-hmm.
instead of
Yeah.
just getting glimmers of the consciousness.
Yeah, I love that.
Because the ego can't figure it out. You can't think your way into consciousness.
Right. The more
Right.
we try to figure it out and explain it, the more lost we get in the ego.
Right.
You just have to experience it
Hmm. By surrendering.
by
That I think
surrendering.
that was the word. Surrendering
Yeah.
to the consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
Hmm.
Anybody else want to share their fear about accepting the at-one-ment?
But I think it
Or
helps when
spiritual?
you do have glimmers of it, because at least you know you've been there. And to maintain one there is, for me, I guess, the challenge. But listening to things of staying in the love vibe, and anytime you're not thinking about being in that joyful state or blissful state, whatever term you want to call it, is it's I guess it's the challenge of staying there. And I guess we have to all figure it out for our own. It could very
Mm-hmm.
well be different for every one of us. I don't know that there's one set rule. Just you guys got to keep rolling that in your mind instead of the monkey mind, right?
Keep
Instead of
choosing love. Yeah.
right choosing love, exactly. Going back to that vibe, going back to that vibe, no matter what, no matter how much somebody's pressing your buttons.
Would that be associated with the flow state?
What is the flow state?
Well, it's what's a creative state that you get into when you're writing or drawing or doing whatever. You get
Yeah.
into a state of mind that it's just becomes you become one with whatever you're doing, and it's
Yeah.
just the flow. It,
Okay.
the time can pass, and time can pass or not pass. Sometimes it seems like hours, and it's only 5 minutes, and sometimes it seems like 5 minutes and it's hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's an altered state. I would say that that was kind of like the at one minute.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Right.
That's
So
that's how the authors wrote this book.
Are
That's
all
what
authors
they're
write all books,
right.
pretty much, all good
right.
books anyway.
But it was God writing through them. So they were in the state of unconscious, not of consciousness, because they were both. Um, oh, I can't think of the word when you don't believe in God.
Atheists.
Atheist.
Atheists,
Mm-hmm.
professors who were atheists.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that, I think they got it more channeling. I wouldn't say the flow state is channeling, would you?
Maybe,
Question.
Yeah, maybe.
maybe. I mean, it's still, you're still bringing something forward that's of God, right? Whether it's art or cooking or painting or
Meditation.
meditation or walking the beach, right?
Right.
Being in that being in that place of at one mint. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
it.
Anybody else want to share? Okay.
It's time.
All right. Yes, we have reached the 1:30 point, so we'll go ahead and close for today. Always wonderful to have all of you guys here.
Uh,
Thank you for
Carl
showing
will
up.
be with you in
I'll be
DC in
I'll be
spirit.
thinking of you. Yeah.
Yeah, bring us
Yes.
all.
I'll
Yes, we
I
will.
should be back. I should be back next Monday. So
Good.
I have my last knee injection next Monday. Got
Oh
one
boy.
now. But and but yeah, I'll think of you guys.
When do you start Omega?
May 2nd. There, it's a sixth, and I work until the 1st of November.
Nice.
Oh
So
wow, that's
6 months, 6 months
yeah.
on, 6 months off. I love the off part.
Well,
Right.
Ernesto, you missed it, I think, because you came in late. Carl's going to DC tomorrow to be with the monks.
I'm leaving as soon as I get my injection in my knee. I'm leaving here, going to get my injection in my knee, and I'm driving straight to DC tonight. So I'll be there.
Okay.
Think about my long drive.
Well, we'll be with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I
All
feel
right,
that.
guys. I will see you all next week. Thank you for joining and great conversation as always. Thank you. So appreciate all of you. Thank you
Thank
for.
you. Thank you very much
All
for
right.
All
everything.
right.
Thank
Have a good
you.
week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.